Hey y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show, the first and only podcast dedicated to all things night vision, thermal imaging, and night hunting, hogs and coyotes, you name it. My name is Jason. I am the owner of Outdoor Legacy, and this is episode number 76. And I've got my co-host and my good buddy Hans from the Hansies Texas YouTube channel with me tonight. How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm good, and I want to wish a very special and happy birthday to you, Jason. Happy birthday to you.
Wow, I'm impressed that you remembered.
I remembered. We're going to be celebrating here pretty soon.
We are. I'm not going to lie to you. Somebody said something to me on Sunday at church about, hey, you got a birthday coming up. And I'm like, yeah. And I looked over at my wife and I said, what day is that coming? I mean, I know the date, but I didn't know what day. And she was like, I think it's on Tuesday. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, something happened to me this past weekend, and it made me think of you and, give you a little bit of hard time on your birthday. But, when you're out riding around town and, you live in a small town, we both live in small towns, and, people say hi to each other by just honking and waving. You're at the gas station, you honk and wave, or, hey, that's so-and-so. Or if you're out on the property and you're closing a gate by the road, somebody drives by and honks. Sure. You're getting honked out all the time when you're out.
Even if you don't know who they are, you're getting honked out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but you always got that one guy that you're like, oh, my gosh, I hope he didn't see me because he's going to want to talk for 45 minutes. Yeah. Please, hopefully he didn't see me. My question is, in your small town, are you that guy?
I was just about to say, is this story related to me?
So it's like, oh my gosh, there's Jason Robertson. I hope he doesn't see me because I'm just up here in town trying to buy a mower blade, and I don't have 45 minutes to talk to him. I think
that could be me. The only saving grace for most people in our town is that when they see me, my ear is glued to my phone, and I'm saying, that scope ought to get you 300 yards. You ought to be able to ID a hog. So I can tell you, you go around Walmart and the grocery store and you're annoyed by those people that won't get off their phone in the checkout line. I'm not going to lie to you. That's straight up me, because if I wasn't, I would never be able to go to the feed store. I would never be able to go to Lowe's. I wouldn't be able to do anything. So I'm that guy who's on his phone. And if you call and talk to me, there's a lot of customers that I talk to and I'm like, hey, I'm in my truck. Because if I don't do it, if I don't talk to them while I'm in my truck on the phone, then I won't get it done. So that's the saving grace of people that see
you're
me.
Busy. You're busy working. Yeah,
that's right. Otherwise, I would talk to them for 45 minutes.
I just got honked at last weekend. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about the guys that you're like, oh, I hope they didn't see me. And I was like,
man,
you know what? Jason is a talker. I wonder if he's that guy in his town.
You can't, but that's terrible. But I will tell you straight up, I do know those guys. I don't think that I am him, but I will say that the other day I had this thought. What happened before the advent of cell phones when you can fake a phone call to get away from somebody? Because I do it, same thing. I was up in Walmart trying to find a feeder battery. I couldn't find one anywhere in town. I went to Walmart and I saw this guy, and I grabbed my phone and I stick it to my ear, and I am faking a phone call because I knew it was going to be 45 minutes, and I did not have that much time. So
you're that guy. So
I'm that guy. I'm the phone call faker.
I want to thank the guys from TX Bacon Tech on Instagram. TX Bacon, like fry bacon tech, TEC. They took me out last weekend. Got a chance to go hunt with them. Tucker, Blake, and Monty, and good guys. We had a good time. Shot some hogs, called some hogs in with the convergent collar, so we did good. And then the next night, went out with some of my buddies here in the Van area. And I just got that brand new Kawasaki mule, and you're trying to not just completely destroy it right when you get it.
Right.
But have you ever noticed when you're in when you've got your buddies with you and you're the one driving your ride, it doesn't matter what you come up to. They always say you can make it. It could be
you can make it. You can do it. Yeah.
It could be a 20-foot drop sinkhole, and they're like, "Man, I really think you can make it." And that all night, that's all I heard. Whatever we came up to, oh, you can make it. You can make it. And things. I was
because it's not theirs.
Exactly. I was like, if we were in your ride, we'd be going 2 miles out of the way to go around this big spot right here.
Right.
But I want to thank those guys, Chase and another Blake buddy of mine, and Patrick. They all listen. All of these guys listen to the show, and they check it out weekly. But But again, yes, thank you all for checking out the show today. We are doing, this has been a show that people have been asking about a lot. And, hopefully what you've seen from what we do around here, a lot of this show we talk about thermal. That's a big portion of our show, but we don't forget about the people that are into night vision. That's a very large percentage of the market out there, the people that are looking for scopes to hunt with, something that's affordable within their budget and something that's effective out in the field. So today, Jason, we're going to be talking about two very popular scopes, the Pulsar Digisight N450 and the Sightmark Wraith. So we're going to be going through both of these. I'm going to go through the specs of the Digisight first. Then you're going to go through the Wraith, and we're just going to kind of talk about it and compare and pick a winner. I know we've done reviews on this on both of these scopes, full reviews on previous channels. So if you haven't checked that out, go check it out either on our iTunes account, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you check it out. If you search for it, you'll be able to find it. But just kicking off and get.
But hang on, before we do it, I want to throw out one thing. I want to bring up last week's episode. See, for those that don't know, I know some people think that Hans and I have these shows planned down to the second. I don't know. Nobody thinks that. They've listened to us. But I don't even know what he's going to say about the Digisight N450 and the Wraith. He doesn't know what I'm going to say. We have not discussed it. We're going to give our honest opinions, and that's what we do. And I know if you listen very often, maybe once, you know that we don't have these things planned. But I do want to talk about one thing, and I'm going to try not to take too long on this. This is something that I want to address. It's about last week's episode. It's about the Pulsar Thermy XM30. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to that episode if it concerns you. Basically, the news is that as of last week, it was made official that Pulsar has discontinued the production of the Thermy XM30 before it was ever produced. A lot of people have been waiting on this scope since it was announced in January, and a lot of people were very concerned about it. A lot of people upset. And one thing that I wanted to touch on, I've had a lot of feedback on this show, probably more than we've had on a lot of our other shows, just because this was a very popular optic that a lot of people were waiting to see and anticipating. Well, I've talked to the people that have been on my back order list or pre-order list, and they've all been very understanding, and they get it. A lot of guys are choosing other scopes to buy, whatever. It's a lot of different things going on. But what I wanted to talk about was I've had a couple emails. There's been some comments on YouTube, some comments on different social medias about this. There's some guys that were really upset, and some guys trying to call Pulsar out on it. And I want to just speak to this real quick. Pulsar does not need me to be their errand boy and to go out and defend them. They're not paying me to do it. They haven't asked me to do it. We haven't even talked about it. I have not talked to anybody at Pulsar about the show. But I want to say this. Obviously, Hans and I really do like Pulsar. We think they put out great products and they treat their customers right. They're far from perfect. There's no thermal company that's perfect. If there was, I'd be buying stock in them. But this is the thing. This optic, while I understand people are some people are upset that it hadn't come and whatever. This is the deal. Folks, this is a company that made a business decision, and in no way is it a bait and switch. In no way are they doing anything that somehow financially benefits themselves. It's nothing more than a end of the day business decision. They could not bring this optic to market at a price point that they had promised and in the capacity that they had promised and in an image quality that met their own internal standards. And so this is the way that I look at it. They can bring an optic out. They can lower the standards. And let's back up. There's several options, but I would say number one, I'm not going to make this too long, but number one, no one should expect a company, a business, a for-profit business in a capitalist society to bring an optic to market that they don't feel they can make a sufficient profit on. That's ridiculous. So They didn't feel like they could make a profit on it as it was, sufficient to their standards, so they took the focus out and said, we're going to have a fixed focus scope. That's going to save them money. Then at that point, they said, and this is the official answer, it did not meet their image quality standards. So what's the other option? Hey, let's go ahead and bring it out. It doesn't meet our standards, but it's still going to sell a whole bunch of them because it's at the right price point. People are excited about it. They want it. They're still going to buy it. Yeah. Well, that's the sign of bad business. That's the sign of an unethical company of, hey, we'll sell a whole bunch of them. It ain't great. It ain't what we want, but we'll sell it anyway. And so, anyway, at the end of the day, they made a business decision, and that's what it is. And to be clear, the reason I say that they don't profit from it, the next scope up, and we talked about this last week, is a Thermion XM38, and it is extremely difficult to get right now. It's extremely back ordered. The supply is low. These things aren't just rolling in. I could see if these XM38s were piled up on everybody's shelf 10 foot high, and they go, well, we're not going to produce the XM30, go buy the XM38 that cost more. Yeah. They're not doing that. We can't get them. I mean, we can't meet the current demand before this. So anyway, I just got a little worked up because of some of the accusations that I saw against Pulsar, and I just disagree with it. And I think they made a business decision. It is what it is, and I don't think they did anybody wrong. I agree that it's not great. I agree that it's disappointing. I know a lot of guys have been sitting around since January, February, March waiting on them. But all the customers of mine that have been on this list, all these guys that I've been in contact with that have been emailing, calling, whatever, we've been keeping up. I've been telling them for months, man, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I've been given the warning, this thing may not show up. And so, if you didn't have that warning, I'm sorry about that, but the writing's been on the wall that something wasn't right with this optic for several months. I mean, I say something wasn't right, that it might not come to market or it may be very delayed. So I think all we can hope at this point is that something comes out for 2020. Hopefully Pulsar will do something to replace this optic. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we can cross our fingers and hope that we see that at some point. But I don't know. I just feel like, and it wasn't many people. And look, if you're one of these guys, I'm not calling you out. It is what it is. We all get passionate about this stuff when we're looking forward to something or we're excited about something. But I think we've got to remember that this is a capitalist society, and any business has the right to make or not make anything they want. And again, I would much rather a company say, this does not meet my standards, we're not bringing it out, versus dumping it out on the market and it being a piece of junk and still people buying it and getting stuck with it. Because that's my 2 cents. Yeah,
we know other companies, and we're not going to name any names, that will just throw it out there in the market no matter what the standards are.
Because it'll sell either way.
Because it'll sell. But what that leads, as we all know with business and as business owners or somebody that's in sales or marketing, it takes a very short amount of time to ruin your reputation. It takes a long time to gain it back. And I mean, if it was not up to their standards, the smartest thing is to not put it out there. You don't want to put out a bag product and have your name tagged to it. But all right, so if
I just wanted to bring that up. I'm not going to beat that dead horse. Everybody has the right to their own opinion. And again, I'll end it with this. I do not like the decision, but it was the right decision. Yep. I'm not happy with the outcome. I wanted that scope for a lot of reasons, but it was the right decision for them to make if it didn't meet their standards. So moving along, let's talk about another Pulsar product.
You can email us your comments at thelatenightvision@gmail.com. If it's hate mail, put Dear Jason at the top so it's directed to him. And
please.
Just know I had nothing to do with this.
No, I'm not. And really, I'm not mad about it, guys. No. I did have several emails, and I saw a lot of comments about it in different places that people weren't happy, and all the guys that I've spoken to personally were on the phone were very understanding. And so moving along, let's talk about this review, man. This is an exciting review for me because we have never done a review like this where we compare a $499 optic, which is the Sightmark Wraith HD, to a $1,299 optic, which is the Pulsar Digisight N450 or the N455. I think most people would say we're insane and unfair to compare two optics like that.
Yeah. Well, we might be. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Pulsar Digisight N450 and or N455. And I've got one. I'm holding it up. If you're watching on YouTube, you get a chance to see it. Like I said, we did a full review on this 2 weeks ago on episode 74 of the Late Night Vision Show. But just starting out, if you notice, you're taking a look at it on the video, you can tell that the housing, the model, the structure of it looks very similar to the Trail thermals. So if you're used to the Trail thermal, or if you're familiar with it, the button layout and everything, very similar look. Focus knob on top, eyepiece diopter focus up here near the eyepiece. But just to go through the specs real quick, it's got a 1280 by 720 sensor with a 1020 by 768 AMOLED display. So, if you're familiar with Pulsar and familiar with the AMOLEDs and all that, it says it's got a 550-yard detection range. Jason,
I'd like to comment on that.
No, you can't. We've already commented on it, but on 2 episodes ago. But we both felt like that was a little bit of a stretch, maybe a lot of a stretch. But we didn't. Yeah, we didn't feel like it had a 550-yard detection range. Base magnification on this 4.5 power. It's 2 times, 4 times digital zoom. It does have the Stream Vision app, and it is capable with that app where you can watch videos, download the videos on your app, watch the videos. You can see the screen while somebody else is looking through the scope. That's where you do your firmware updates, is through that app. So it does have that built in, and it is capable. Just like all the other Pulsars, does have the picture-in-picture display, which if you listen to this podcast very much, you know that I'm a huge fan of the picture-in-picture display, and it's the only optic right now on the market that has that feature. Of course, one-shot zeroing. It's the kind of the staple of the Pulsar products when you're sighting in these scopes. I mean, Jason and I will tell you, we sight in a bunch of different scopes. The one-shot zeroing makes it very, very easy.
I wouldn't call it one shot, but it's very easy. It does help.
Yeah,
sure.
It's definitely not one shot, but you can definitely get it close within a couple shots, 2 or 3 shots.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rechargeable battery pack. So the battery is the same as the Pulsar Trail thermal battery packs. As rechargeable, of course, you get up to 8 hours of runtime typically with these, and very average temperatures in the 70s or so. So 8 hours of runtime on that. I showed you the focus knob up here on the top, eyepiece diopter focus. You can mount these up for a QD mount if you want to do so. Similar, the same QD mount that the thermals use. And, as far as the specs go, that's the specs, except the price, which I'm not going to forget, which sometimes we do, $1,299.97 for this beautiful digital night vision scope put out by Pulsar, the Digisight N450. So,
yeah,
there you go. Oh, and Jason, like you said, with the IR illuminator light on the side, not 4 different brightness settings, but 3 different brightness settings and an off feature. It does have a special off feature on that unit.
Special off feature. I still stand by 4 brightness off, high, medium, and low. But
exactly.
Okay, so on the Wraith, I'm going to hit a few highlights on there, and it's going to be hard to not go ahead and start making these direct comparisons, but we'll do that in just a minute. So it's got a digital imaging sensor of 1920 by 1080 pixels. It's got an FLCOS display that is a liquid crystal over silicone. It has a display resolution of 1280 by 720. It has a built-in video recorder. It takes a SD card, so rather than just recording internally, you just put a micro SD card in. It'll take up to a 64 gigabyte card.
I forgot. Mine does that too. Internal video recording. Oh yeah. By the way.
Yeah. No.
Mine
no
too,
SD card on yours, but it does record.
Built
That's
in.
right. That's it. Built in. It's got approximately 7 hours of video you can record on a 64 gig card, and it is a 4-power base magnification. It does have digital zoom all the way up to 32 power. Again, that's really, really high. But it's a 4-power optical. It's a 50 millimeter objective lens. It's got, the thing I like about the Wraith is that it's got several nice features, but it's, there's not so many that it's overwhelming. And that's, some people say, well, that's just an excuse, but it's really not. It's really easy to use. It's got multiple crosshairs, different colors that you can use. And I know if anybody's heard us, I'm always a big fan of the different color crosshairs. Now that the Thermions have them and the FLIRs have had them for years, I really do like that. So it's got that. It takes 4 AA batteries. Battery life, this is so difficult because it's all over the place. I see guys, depending on what batteries they use and what the temperature is and all that. But I'm gonna say this: there's gonna be some guys that have got them that scream at me that it's shorter, and there's gonna be guys that scream at me that it's longer. But we're gonna say an average around 2.5 to 3 hours out of 4 AA batteries. It does have a removable external infrared illuminator that comes with it. It's on a Picatinny rail. It comes right off of there, and you can take that off when you don't need it. With that included illuminator, it does have 3 brightness settings and off. And you're going to get realistically, I don't know what the specs say on it, but you're going to get realistically about 225 yards of shootable distance out of that illuminator. I would say that that's going to be about the same thing that you're going to get on the N450. It also, I should mention, and both these units are this way, the Pulsar and the Sightmark, they will take a USB external battery pack for power. So if that's something you want to do as an external battery pack, that is an option. The Wraith comes with a standard mount that uses 2 thumb screws. The one I'm holding up here has the optional quick detach mount. That's another $60 that you can add on there with 2 QD throw levers. So basically, that's the main specs of this scope. The most important thing here that I didn't mention, and most people probably know this, is that the Wraith is black and white at night, just like the N450. It does have a green mode that looks kind of like night vision, traditional night vision. You can put it in. Some people like that. I'm just kind of the black and white fan. But during the day, it is HD full color. It's a beautiful image quality during the day, whereas the N450 is just black and white all the time. So I know I'm already kind of doing some comparisons there, but I wanted to give those specs. So we've got the basics down. We're talking about a
$499.
$499. We've basically, what we have here is a very standard, simple night vision scope that records video with no audio. That's important. AA batteries and full color during the day, black and white at night. Comparing that to the N450, that is, removable rechargeable battery, smartphone app, internal battery, black and white day and night. And I would say that, again, the range right out of the box on both these is going to be very, very similar at around that, 200 to 250 yards, give or take. And I would trend down to say 225 to be safe.
Yeah. So, the advantages of the two, and I'll just run through them real quick, what I feel like the advantages are. I think the advantage as far as battery power would obviously go to the Digisight, the rechargeable batteries. I mean, that's a great feature. Everybody wants it. It's a very high demand feature in the market right now. So I think, hands down, the Digisight is favored in that regard. Also, I feel like the internal video recording is a positive over the SD card of the Wraith. I don't think having an SD card is a negative, but to me, I find it more convenient to be able to get these videos off and put them on my computer without having to remove an SD card.
I like the SD card in theory because I can just plug it in. It's micro, but I can plug it in the computer. But there has been a couple times that I had it out, and then it's like, oh, look, I see something out there, and I go grab the thing, and it's like no SD card. And I gotta go stick it back in. So that's so it's not minor detail.
Yeah, it's a minor thing. I don't think that it's a huge thing, but if you ask myself personally and the majority of people out there, I think they prefer to have the internal video recording. And Jason and I talked about this on the you and I've talked about it in the past, but on the full review of the Digisight, that we felt like up to that 200 yards range, that the Digisight had a slightly better image. So I mean, I don't think it's a vast difference, but I do think that at night the Digisight has the advantage.
What about during the day?
So hands
we got to give something to the Wraith here, surely during the day.
No, So the advantages for the Wraith, by far, hands down, being able to have an optic that you can hunt with during the day. What I'm going to do is I plan on shooting a doe this year and recording it with the Wraith. It's full color, like Jason said, full color HD, beautiful image. It looks great on videos. Having that capability is a big advantage over the Digisight, and I think that's what people want these days. I think they want the full color during the day image, and I think people are kind of. I'm not going to say that they're past the gray image of the night vision scope during the day, but now, as you see more and more come out, it's full color HD. So I think that's kind of where the trend in the market's going. But you've said in the past, especially this Digisight N450, this should be a night vision scope. If you're wanting something to cross over day and night, you should probably consider something else. But if all you need is something to hunt at night, you don't care about hunting with it during the day, you've got a daytime scope to use, it's perfectly fine and it works well. But a lot of people these days are wanting a scope that they can use at night and during the day, and that the Wraith having that is a big advantage, and it's showed in the popularity and the sales of these units that it does have that big advantage over them. I think that the Digisight is very easy to use because I'm used to using the trail thermals, but when I use the Wraith, although I haven't used anything, it's a new design and all of that, it was very easy to use, had no problems at all. I mean, I think if you have, if you can work your iPhone, you can work the Sightmark Wraith just as easy, or any cell phone. Now, there's a lot of people that say, I can't even work my cell phone. Well, then
you may be in trouble. No,
you might have to. You'll be fine.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Speaking to that real quick, I have sold a lot of Wraiths, and I've been concerned sometimes. I've had some guys that have told me flat out, I can't work my cell phone. I'm nervous about this. I can't turn on my TV with my remote. Am I going to be able to, buy this? And they get me concerned, and I'm like, I don't know. And you know what? I may not talk to the guy ever again, or I might hear from him in 6 weeks, and he's like, oh, no, it's great. No problem. So I felt really good about, and I think that, my opinion on this, and I'm getting a little off track here, but I think whether it's the Digisight, whether it's the Wraith, whether it's any optic, if you want to learn it, it's not that hard. There's not that much to them, and you can't screw anything up in there. So
I'll say one more. I want to say two more things, and I'll make it quick. Two more advantages with the Wraith, and one of them's obvious: the price. You're talking about an $800 difference in the Wraith and the Digisight. The Digisight being the more expensive optic. The other one, I like the IR illuminator more on the Wraith than I do with the Digisight. I like the adjustability of the IR beam to make that a wider beam or a more condensed beam for longer ranges. I like being able to do that to just for closer up or further away. I do prefer the IR light on the Wraith more.
Well, I will say this. I mean, I'll put it out there. Don't think there's any question. The real advantages of the Wraith are the full color daylight. Okay, if we take that away, and if we said that Wraith was black and white, during the day,
Yeah.
I don't know that it holds any other major advantage over the Digisight. Okay, I do believe the Digisight image quality is slightly better. There is one thing that I do want to speak to about the Wraith that some people have commented on that haven't used them. If you watch the videos out of the Wraith, you'll see, and we've talked about this in some other episodes, you'll see some lag, or what I kind of call smearing, when you move left or right. It's just you'll see it in the videos. It's like everything's kind of choppy or blurry until you stop, and then it refocuses. You don't see that near as much in the actual Wraith as you do in the videos. There's something, the way that it's being recorded. I don't know exactly what it is, but it is not coming out as well as you see it through the eyepiece.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it when I was using the Wraith, but sometimes on the videos it does give that perception, but it's not. It's, to me, it was a non-issue using it, looking through it.
Exactly, and the reason I'm bringing it up is the other day I recorded a bunch of video with the Wraith, and when I went and put them on the computer, I was like, "What is this?" I mean, it did not look this. I was blown away because I was moving around a lot, and I was like, "It did not look like this when I was using it." Now, having used the Wraith next to the N450 a good bit, I would say that the N450 absolutely, it's, again, when they're side by side, it's noticeable that there is no lag whatsoever when moving that scope left to right. I do see a little bit of that lag with the Wraith when I'm using it next to the N450. So it's one of those things, you don't really see it, you don't worry about it until you see it next to something, a high-end $1,200-$1,300 scope like the N450. So is it a big deal? No, but I do think that's another small advantage that goes to the Digisight. Now, at the end of the day, and I'm going to kind of go ahead and I mean, we've done extensive reviews and discussion on the Wraith. We did the full review on the N450, so I don't feel like we need to get into too much more depth. I kind of want to give our opinion here of what we're thinking. And I don't know what Hans is thinking. We didn't talk about this beforehand of what his opinion at the end of the day was. But mine is simply this. I do believe that in every way except the daytime full color that the Wraith has, I think that the N450 is a superior optic. I do. I think it wins in so many different ways. But it's also a $1,300 optic versus a $500 optic. So the real question becomes, is it $800 better than the Wraith? And I guess my answer is this. If money is no object, and I know, and people go, well, golly, but I mean that. If it's like, hey, you know what? I want digital night vision, and I'm willing to spend $1,500 to get it, and doesn't really bother me. I'd say go for the Digisight, the N450. I sold one to a guy last week, and this was his thing. He said, I want the battery pack, and I want the picture-in-picture, and he said, and I'm willing to pay for it. And and I get that. If you have the money and you're willing to do it, I think it's fine. I think if you're just purely coming at this from features, value, price, I've got to look at this Digisight this Wraith and say it's $500 versus $13. I can buy the Wraith. I can buy an AR-15. I can buy ammo, and I got money left over to take my family out to eat. Yeah. I don't know, man. This Wraith is really good for $500. So I'm just going to say and I'll let you, give your opinion here, but I'm just going to say, if I had to buy one, I can put value. I think the Wraith is more valuable than $499. I think that at $1,300, knowing that you can get thermal for $1,900 now, I think that that $1,300 price tag is the max value that Digisight is worth.
Well, I'll say this. I think it's going to maybe mirror a little bit what you're saying. In my opinion, it is not although the Digisight's a good optic, I don't think it's worth $800 more than the Sightmark Wraith with everything that you get with the Wraith with the daytime. And to me, the daytime full color HD is everything. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. If you lined up these two scopes with the features and the specs, and you said one of them's $1,300 and one of them's $500, I would have said that the Wraith was $1,300 and the Sightmark was $500.
If you didn't know anything about them?
If I didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
Because that the advantages for the Wraith, to me, outweigh the disadvantages. And the only disadvantage to me on the Wraith is it doesn't have rechargeable batteries. You're putting double A's in there. But other than that, it is not, to me, again, if you're wanting just a nighttime scope, the Digisight's great, and the rechargeable battery pack's great, internal video recording's great. But for me, what I'm going to use the Wraith for is hunting during the day and being able to record good quality, high definition videos to produce content and videos, and that's much more valuable than having a slightly better picture image out of the Digisight. Night vision scope.
And I want to say two things. One, I'm sure we mentioned this somewhere in this discussion. I do want to mention it because it gets brought up all the time. The Wraith does not have a microphone in it, so it does not record audio. A lot of people have gotten all worked up about that it does not have audio. I don't know what to say. It is what we've talked about that before. It is what it is, but
if you're recording audio, the only thing you're getting is a little background noise and a bang.
Exactly.
That's all you really get. I've run into that problem with other scopes that didn't have it.
Like all the FLIR thermosites, thermals.
So, I've got to record. I record audio on my cell phone, or I have other audio that I use. If really the only reason it might be a pain is if you're creating content to share and you've got to sync that in with it. But I mean, if I was just the normal hunter, I wouldn't care, because again, you're missing some chirping crickets in the background and a loud bang, or maybe two bangs. I don't know.
And the other thing I want to say is that I know we've both harped on the full color a lot during the daylight, and I talk to a lot of guys that say, look, I've got daytime optics. I will never use this thing during the daylight, period. And so I get that. I still have to put them side by side and say 500 versus 1,300. It's a big jump. I mean, again, if you win the lottery, I don't think that there's any reason to not. I mean, if you don't care about the full color, why not buy the Digisight? But
I'm
if
still
you're
buying the Wraith.
Oh my gosh, I know. But if you're the average
Pulsar,
guy,
send your endorsements over to me. Go ahead. I need
exactly.
a
This guy's yeah. But I really do think. I mean, it's just the price point. If you could put and I think this would be a real bargain, but if you could put the Digisight at $899, maybe $999 and give it full color daylight. I mean, at that point, I think we might be getting somewhere.
Yeah,
but $1,300 is just, I just can't help but think you can buy the Pulsar Core RXQ 30V for $1,899. And I know we can nickel and dime and $100, $500 ourselves to death, but it's like, man, if you're spending that close, you can have thermal.
Yeah.
And I'll take thermal over the digital. So
yeah. I don't think anybody's questioning the quality of the Pulsar Digisight, but I think what Jason and I are saying is that price point is for what's out there right now is definitely high. I mean, there's just too many good optics out there in the night vision world, and $1,300 is a little high. But again, if you disagree with this, send us your comments, send us your emails.
This is hate mail week right here.
It is. No, and hopefully what you see from us is we're going to give our honest opinion of it. We're going to tell you what we think. If it's not the best deal, we're not going to tell you it's the best deal. A lot of people say that we're not very good salespeople, and I probably would agree with that very much. There's nobody that can talk. There's nobody that can talk a person out of a $5,000 thermal than my man Jason Robertson out there on the other side of the microphone. But that to a fault. Jason, myself, we're going to tell you what we think. And if there's a better deal out there, we're definitely going to steer you in the direction of what's going to be best for your hunting experience. But you can always check out all this stuff on OutdoorLegacyGear.com. If you're interested in purchasing any night vision or thermal scope, or if you got questions, or if you're in the buying process and you just say, I just need a little bit of help. I just need somebody that has used these optics, that knows a little bit about it, to spend 5 or 10 minutes on the phone with me to help me make my decision. Give Jason a call at 877-350-1818. We are right now, this is middle of October 2019, and we're just jumped right in to the busy season. Jason, you were on the phone like a madman. Started, 2 weeks ago, and it has been crazy.
And it's getting crazier every day. So it's a good problem to have, though.
It is.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so if you have any questions, give Jason a call. Also, I don't know what we've got coming up, but I'm sure we've got some pretty good interviews coming up, and I hope we're going to be planning some out very soon. But we also got SHOT Show coming up in January. So we got a lot of good content coming out. But Jason, tell everybody where they can find you other than the information that I've already told, the 5 minutes I've already told.
Absolutely. If you want to find us, you can check me out, Outdoor Legacy, at OutdoorLegacyGear.com. Again, Hans gave the phone number, 877-350-1818. You can talk to me. You might get Hans calling you back as well. He helps me out a lot, especially this time of year. And you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you want to find more about the Late Night Vision Show, you can check that out at thelatenightVisionShow.com. You can find all the past episodes there, the YouTube videos, links to everything. You can find information about Hans and I, and anything you want to know should be there. If you're looking for Hans, check him out on YouTube. It is Hans ETX on YouTube. You can also find him on Instagram, and this guy is posting.
Maybe not much longer.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Hans has gotten on the short list with Instagram, and he keeps getting his stuff
like me very
blocked
right
and removed. And so for now, you can find Hans on Instagram, and he's posting some short, 30-second to 1 minute video clips on there all the time, and hog kills. And I imagine there's a little too much killing and blood and guts for the politically correct standards of Instagram. But for now, you can go find him there and on YouTube. Yeah,
check me out if you have it. If you message me on Instagram, I'll do whatever I can to get back with you in a short amount of time. I tell you, we get more messages and correspondence now through social media than we do any other form of communication, and that's a great thing. It brings us all closer together. But if you have any questions, you can find me on Instagram, and I'll message you back. But for Jason and I, happy birthday, Jason! Glad that you spent your birthday week with me on the show.
Oh yeah, and it's exactly right. And I'm glad you're not telling them how old I am. Let's just say over 40. Over 40.
I already told them last week that you were in your mid-50s, so it's all good.
Mid-50s. Hey, I look good for my mid-50s.
You do. That's what I said. You look good for mid-50s.
How about 40s?
Yeah, you're right. Early 40s. Thank y'all for joining us this week. This has been episode 76 of the Late Night Vision Show, the Pulsar Digisight N450 versus the Sightmark Wraith comparison. Clear winner, as we both decided, was the Sightmark Wraith. Go check it out, as Jason said. We'll see y'all next week. We're going to be talking more about hog hunting, coyote hunting, thermal scoped and optics, all the breaking news in the night vision and thermal industry. You'll find it right here. We broke the news last week about the XM30. Anytime we find anything out, y'all are the first people to know about it. My buddies call me up and say, hey, you said it on the show, but I saw you like a few days before that. Why didn't you tell me then? But hey, we save it for the show. You got to find out on the show. But we'll see y'all next week. Stay safe in the fields and keep making them bacon pancakes.